What up, gang? In the last video, you guys just saw us go from finding a completely random city, going through all the ArcGIS data, looking up public information on a property, and we were able to identify a fourplex. We were able to find the owners of the property, and then we were also able to find 2 phone numbers as well as an email in order to get in touch with the owners. We also know that that same property currently has 2 vacancies on unit 103 and 104, and we've got a rough idea of what it is that they're renting them out for. Now, what I want to do in this part of the series is I want to see how fast we can take a rough cut at this property, analyze it, and see what it is that we might be willing to pay for it so that we can set ourselves up for an offer. Let's jump in. Okay, we're going to start off. Let's jump on Google Maps. Doing a speed run here. I want to find this property again. I want to find the location that it's in here in Boise, Idaho, so that I can go ahead and try and find that general area on Zillow with a hopes that we will be able to find some nearby properties that have recently sold. So I'm going to find the general vicinity here, just north of, it looks like Maple Grove. Let's go ahead and find Zillow, pop that open. Okay, we want to buy, and we are looking for Boise, Idaho. I also want to toggle this over to sold. Multifamily if I can. That would be helpful. Multifamily, apply. See if I can zoom out a little bit. This does give you some rough price ranges here. 758K, 782, 440. So I don't know, overall it seems like it's generally in between, somewhere between 600 and 900K. I'd like to get something that's a little better of a comparable property there. Let's pop these open and see if we can get some previous sales data that might give us a little bit closer. All right, what do we got here? 8,000. Let's see. So it's showing the value going up here. Do we have a previous sales? This is 2014. We can see that they're renting out for 750. We just go ahead and plug this in. If we can get the right property, we know the exact tax amount, but we'll actually go ahead and look that up online as well. But for starters, we'll plug in, let's say, a rough number of, we want to get a deal out. So let's go ahead and put 650,000. 5625. That looks like a pretty good rate. That sounds close to what my friend would about that too. Percentage, 55% in here. Cash down. We're going to do FHA loan, 3.5%. We're doing Fannie Mae, 3%. It's going to be spread over 30 years. I should go see what things are currently listed for. Last year, $1,295. So then we'll go ahead and take that times 12 for annualize that. 62 grand. Okay, let's go ahead and try to find our taxes on this real quick. Okay, here we go. Search for property taxes. My address. There it is. Okay, so the entire year, $7,491.40. Go ahead and take that and plug it into our spreadsheets. Beautiful. Insurance, $1,000 in dwelling coverage, $1,097. So maybe we can take that times 3. Yeah, I'm guessing it's probably going to be somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000. We can estimate a little bit high, go 5,500, just to play a little bit more conservative. Utilities, see that, guys? Pets are not acceptable. See, now, I don't know if this is an HOA rule or not, but this right here is where I'm saying, hey, there's opportunity. You come in here and take a look at utilities, responsible for power and gas, owner pays water, sewer, trash, and yard. You know, we can go ahead and do utility chargeback right there. We can say, hey, listen, Mr. Tenant, you pay, $95, $100, $150 a month, and I'll take care of water, sewer, and trash for you. I'm going to get sidetracked. I'm added time to my clock here. Let's see. Utilities, we have water, sewer, trash. It's probably going to be about $3,500 for water, sewer, and trash. And then I'm guessing it's probably going to be $2,000 give or take. That could be a little bit different in that market. But again, we're just going for a rough analysis here. We have to pay property manager. And then annual repairs, given I'm usually just take this based on rent as a percentage. So depending on how new the property is, if it's something that's A or B class, I might say 5%. If it's something that's a little bit in rougher shape, I might say 10. Maybe we'll just meet somewhere in the middle here and go out. So like 0.06%. 3,700. Okay, now let's go take this and we'll plug it into our system. Let's see what we've got for analysis. Cash on cash is pretty terrible at -44%. However, we have to understand that this is also going to be under an FHA loan. If we're going to take a look at this and say, hey, we're actually going to purchase it 25% down. Oh, let's switch that here. Okay, we're at 0.79. The other thing, guys, is that you might be able to get some more accurate numbers on as to what insurance is, right? It was saying that it was about $1,000 a year for $350,000. That gives me my insurance has just dropped drastically, if that's accurate, right? Utilities, again, this is something that we can offset. But now if we're looking at this, our cash on cash has just bumped up to 3%. Perhaps you guys are able to go and switch those utilities over to the tenant. What that would do is it would also boost your income. So say now I was charging each unit, right? I'm charging each unit now, say at $95 a month for water, sewer, and trash. So I'm going to say plus 95 times 4 times 12. And get that in brackets. Okay, so my income is just both up to 66,000, and I can also, I'm still going to pay that expense. So we just offset it. Our cash on cash has improved to 5%. And then, maybe you're living in Boise, Idaho, and you can self-manage that property, right? Usually I want to include that and just make sure that's a good deal, but I can switch that over to 0%. Cool. Now I'm looking at 8% cash on cash return, and then maybe I'm able to go and do my own lawn care there, right? Since I'm living in the property for an FHA loan. Well, now look at my cash on cash, 9%. We go ahead and switch this back down to 3% down. Cool. Now this thing is cash flowing. You're at 32%, right? Cap rate at 6.67. Maybe we can actually tone some of these things back down a little bit, and say, trying to be quite conservative. We want to pay for management now, 8%, and we're still going to spend our $2,000 a year on lawn care. What does that do? Okay, we have a negative cash on cash, but a cap rate is good, but that's to be expected here with a pretty high interest rate. Again, there's other things you can do. Eventually, maybe you guys can buy your interest rate down. So maybe buy it down by 1%. You're at 4.6%. Cool. Now you just moved to positive cash flow. This number is going to move pretty significantly when you're looking at doing a Fannie Mae loan. The other thing to consider is that you could go ahead and say, I want to take this times 0.75%, because it's actually, you're on one hand, you're taking a look at it and you're saying, okay, what does this look like from an investment standpoint as to what the property's going to be bringing in, which is that 62, 63, 66,000. You also have to consider is that while I'm living in the property, what money is going to be actually coming in available for me to go ahead and pay the mortgage, right? So now I kind of want to go ahead and take this whole number and I want to take that times 0.75%. It'll let me. I'll put all this stuff inside the brackets. So that's 50,000. But then I can come here and I can see, okay, well, I don't know what you'd be paying in rent. If you're at Boise, Idaho, and you're living in a place and you're spending $1,500 a month or $2,000 a month, well, right here, if I could take this divided by 12, my monthly rent or out-of-pocket expense would be about $800. So in either case, you'd still be saving money, you'd be getting property appreciation, and you'd be paying on your principal reduction by $9,000 every single year. The other thing is you don't know what price it is that these guys are going to want to take. So maybe you come back here and you say, yeah, it's still my 5% interest rate. I'll come back here and we'll say, okay, well, maybe they'll take 600,000, right? Now I can see, let's see here. I'll change my interest rate back up. Yeah, maybe change this back to 4%, Now I'm looking at, instead of paying $10,000 every single year for my living expense, I'm paying $7,500, right? So I just lowered my monthly rent divided by 12, so I can see it on a monthly basis, $631 a month, is what I would be coming out of pocket based on just a freelance budget standpoint. So how are we doing for time? Okay, so right now we're at 17 minutes. I just want to show you guys that right here, in a total of what is 20 minutes now and 10 minutes on the previous video and 30 minutes, I've got a pretty rough idea of what it is that I could spend on this property, what it would look like from income and expense standpoint in order for me to potentially make these guys an offer. My next step is, get these guys on the phone and say, hey, so-and-so, this is blah, blah, blah. Just wondering if you ever thought about selling that property. We've got about a total of 30 minutes involved, and we've accomplished quite a bit. And I just want to show you guys that it's pretty easy to find off-market deals and to analyze them, and this is how you can do it. Thanks.